on to you. Breakfast is Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk with Matthew Dixon.
Arguably the best jingle ever made, wouldn't you say?
Arguably, yeah, there's definitely an argument
You
there.
use the argument word, debatable.
That's right.
I mean, arguably the best thing you've ever
You
heard.
can say anything then, can't you?
Yeah, isn't it? What sparked? I mean, I think with Access, with you and your great team, you've got a terrific team. You
Thank
had
you.
your son at work the other day. You slave driver.
That's right. He's home from uni,
Is
so
he going to take up electronics?
no, well, he's actually doing media arts and computer science at uni, so he's got a bit of computer
Media
science
arts and what's
It's
media arts?
there. Media arts is a visual medium where he gets to do creative things, and then he goes to the next lecture, and it's very mathematical, computer science, yes and no.
Is he doing it online?
No, well, he had to do a little bit away. He's at Uni of New South Wales, but he had to do a little bit away
Oh,
this
it's
year.
Not as good as my Sydney uni.
No, that's right.
Ivy up the walls on New South Wales, a crummy university. New
That's
South Wales. Campuses around. What you had that terrific 30th anniversary with Dr. Carl Cruz. I mean,
That's him. Yep.
he turned up with my briefcase. What a crowd!
Yeah, we had about 1,000 through the doors on that day. That was fantastic, and that was really a celebration of 30 years of telecommunications, 30 years of technology. It wasn't just about 30 years ago that I started a business, and we had a display of 30 years of mobile phones, for example. People were fascinated with
Did you
those.
have the old Motorola?
We had some old Motorola's, some old bag phones. They were incredibly popular, and people used to walk into the pubs with their old bag phones, and you'd give them a hard time. You've got your handbag there, have you, Nancy? So it was.
Now men wear those bags without the phones in them.
Well, that's right. They're
call
a
them
fashion statement.
handbag.
Yeah, so they were funny, and just some of the older phones and what they could do, how limited they were. 1992 was the first text message sent, and so
What was the text message?
the text message was Merry Christmas. It was to the Vodafone, the CEO of Vodafone, and the guy who was just a young employee there. He sent a text message to say Merry Christmas, and so that was the first text message. And who would know how that would explode across the world after that first little text message? Who's going to sit there and type in this thing where you had to do A, or the number 2 to get to the letter C, 3 hits on that to get the letter C, and you go, oh, this is such a painful way to send a message. But now, of course, you've got a full keyboard on your phone.
What was the spark in electronics or communications this year, Matt? What did you, when you opened the new box at Access, go, wow, this is new, this is good, this is exciting? Or is it so fast and furious and it snowballs so much that it all gets blurred day to day?
It does a little bit. Things are changing so quickly, but 5G certainly was, and 5G didn't just get introduced this year.
1, 3, 2, 3 or 4, did we?
No, they're still, well, some of them, 3's hanging around a little bit, 4G's still there, and 5's there, but the phones that started to come out this year with 5G, we had 5G phones last year, and there were a few spots that had 5G across Australia, but that's really starting to explode across Australia and across the world now, and the phones are coming out. Obviously, Samsung brought theirs out first. You've got other models like iPhones have come out with 5G now. So even though we're not using 5G anywhere near its potential today, that's the next revolution, if you like. So yes, lots of incremental changes. The cameras keep getting better and better and better. It's quite incredible what you can do with a camera now. The night photography is incredible. So what they do, because they've got so much processing power, a normal camera, because they're little tiny lenses, any photographer will tell you that you need a bigger aperture, a bigger lens to get more light in to get a better nighttime shot. Yep. And that's true for the optic side, but when you introduce incredible computing power, what a modern smartphone does is it takes lots of little quick shots. When it takes a nighttime photo, it stitches them together to enhance the light. So it uses the computing power to enhance the light, not the bigger lens.
But you won't get professional photographers using a mobile phone to take a photo of a sunset.
You won't get professional photographers using that, but there are lots of...
with their SLR Minolta, I tell you.
And with their nice big lens.
Pentax, yep.
That's right, but you get lots of amateur photographers now taking very good photos with their smartphone because it's always in their pocket, it's always ready to grab a shot. We see some of those videos on the news where someone just happened to be there, so it changes.
Isn't that crazy, Matty? We get news instantaneously now as it's happening, as the car crashes into a crowd horrifically, that Burke Street mow down of that guy into that mall. We see it straight away.
That's right. The video photography that people have in their pocket straight away, pull it out and away you go. So that's what's changed, and that's not this year. That's been changing over time because we've got good quality, not as good as the SLRs, but good quality cameras and video cameras in our pockets now, and lots of storage space. So we can take a video shot that goes for 5 or 10 minutes and not worry about, oh no, I'm running out of tape in my camera, I've got to put a new tape in. It just keeps going because we've got so much storage.
An old camera, you'd put the the cassette in the side of the thing, slam the door, and you'd run out just at the time that she said, "I do."
Yeah,
So it was all very-
that's the wrong time.
What did we Google this year? What was
Yeah, some incredible things. I brought a list in. I've cheated,
Holy
Richard.
mackerel, what's
Normally I like to just have all my
you
things
got
off the top of my
font
head.
27 there.
That's right, but there's a whole bunch of stuff. So the thing that disappoints me most about this is that the number one Google term across the nation this year was US elections. Why do we care
Australia.
in Australia? Why do we care so
I
much
don't think it
about
was so
the
much
US?
as the election as the kerfuffle that went on around it.
And you're quite possibly right, but the election was only towards the end of the year. So for all the year, and other things make sense. Number 2 was coronavirus, that makes sense. Number 3, fires near me. So all the fires that happened at the beginning of the year, they were so Googled at the time that they still made the top 10 list for the entire year. Obviously, the middle of July, people weren't Googling fires near me, coronavirus Victoria, and number 5, Richard, number 5, toilet paper. What are we thinking?
You know, Coles and Woolies and a couple other supermarkets are now contemplating restrictions.
Oh,
once
not
on
again.
They call it TP. You don't say toilet paper anymore. It's TP.
I remember walking into Coles at one stage there, and they had a pallet sitting on the ground there, and they were just handing toilet papers off the pallet. You didn't even have to stack the shelves.
Big cages. So they wheeled it out of Big W, and there was the lady. You know, it was like I don't know, freebies. But we were running toward this lady with a cage full of TP.
Unbelievable. One of the stories I most enjoyed, Richard, was one of the guys down in Victoria who went and bought a whole bunch of toilet paper. I don't know, $10,000-$15,000 worth of toilet paper because he was going to make a lot of money, put it on eBay, sell it at 10 times the price, and then finally restrictions started lifting and things changed. There was enough toilet paper, so he went to return it to the supermarket he bought it from. They said, "Sorry, you've got the next 50-year supply."
That's the old tulip syndrome in Netherlands when tulips were rare. And you couldn't buy a tulip for less than 10 grand,
Right.
And then all of a sudden the seed started to happen, and they started to grow it in tulips in the Netherlands, and the stocks dived and everything fell over. So
Yeah, right.
you can't. But TP's back and thing that came in at number 5.
Number
Interesting, number 6, the fires return.
Yeah, fires, New South Wales fires number 6. Qantas share price at number 7. There must be a lot of shareholders in Australia that have got Qantas shares
Was because of Alan Joyce and what he was doing with Qantas at the time?
No, I just think it was because travel was shut down. My logic, and again, this is just the highlights from Google, but my logic is that people went, "Oh no, I've got Qantas shares. What's that going to do to the share price? I'll go and Google what's happening to the share price." So that says to me there's a lot of shareholders out there of Qantas shares. We've got Air Quality Melbourne,
That
number
was the
8.
asthma storms.
Yeah, yep, and I think again some people were probably worried about that even with coronavirus.
Yes.
Beirut explosion, so an international incident there, big international incident, number 9, and then New South Wales coronavirus, number 10. So
The US elections topped it all too.
unbelievable.
Who grabbed the headlines in Google on Australian celebrities or public figures?
Yeah, interesting. AFL crazy we are in this nation, but Denny Laidley, who yeah, many people haven't heard of in New South Wales, AFL
Is he
coach,
a boy or a girl?
boy or a girl, sorry, boy, not girl, but
Spells it D-A-N-I.
yeah, I know, whatever.
Put
It doesn't
another I and he becomes Danny Minard.
quite possibly, but he was an AFL coach and got caught doing a bit of stalking, and that
Right.
hit number 1. Celeste Barber, number 2, with her bushfire fundraising. Good
Tiny
luck to her.
sister,
Gladys, number 3. So it's good to see we're interested in politics there. George Pell, number 4.
Next.
Yeah, that's right. And Quaden Bale. So he was the little Aboriginal kid who was bullied,
Oh,
and then maybe it wasn't exactly what it seemed to be. So that probably increased the number of searches on him once there was some discussion around maybe everything that we saw wasn't exactly what we saw. So yeah, interesting there.
Joe Biden on the international one. Joe Biden number 2.
Joe Biden number 1, Kim Jong Un number 2, yep. Boris number 3, our new vice president, not America's new vice president number 4, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, because of his COVID-19.
I'm guessing that's why, yeah.
On the Sunshine Coast, the Gold Coast.
Yeah, and I wouldn't think Tom would be the most famous actor in the world anymore, very well known obviously, but number 5 for Tom. But interesting to see most of those there are politicians.
There you go.
Yeah.
There it is. That's it. Happy Christmas.
Thanks, same to you and all your listeners.
COVID-19, you can go into Access and talk to Matt and get a gadget.
Breakfast is Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk with Matthew Dixon.